Hi, I am Emerson Phipps. I'm from the United States, specifically from North Carolina, and I'm focusing on our education standards in grades kindergarten through second grade. So that would be ages 5 through 7-ish. So, how are education standards decided in the US? In the US, it is not, education standards are not decided on the federal level. They are decided on a state by state basis. So, kids in different states can be learning drastically different things about the same topic, just depending on what the state feels is important for that specific topic. What are the main categories in these standards? So there's three main categories. The first one is visual literacy, which is focusing on reading, writing, and creating visual images, being able to interpret meanings in images and that kind of stuff. The second one is contextual relevancy, which is being able to deliver content in the right way at the right time. So being able to follow directions and doing stuff, being able to listen to verbal cues and visual cues and being able to do what you need to do from based on what the teacher is saying. Number three is critical response. So being able to unbiasedly examine something, examine works of art. The individual standards in each category, and for these standards are the same amongst all grade levels, K through 12. They just look different for each grade, obviously. So for visual literacy, the standards focus on using language of visual arts to communicate effectively, applying creative thinking and critical thinking skills to our artistic expression, creating art using a variety of tools and media and doing it safely. For contextual relevancy, standards are understanding the interdisciplinary connections and life applications of the visual arts, um, and understanding the global, historical, societal, and cultural context of the visual arts. And last but not least, critical response. The only standard for critical response is using critical analysis to generate responses to a variety of prompts. Sorry. So visual literacy in kindergarten is focusing on integrating it's a lot of focusing on life skills and doing because kindergarten is the first year of real school, what we in the US would consider real school. So kids are not required to have any type of schooling before this. So it can be a very difficult and big transition for some students because of that. They it's their first year being in like a real school environment for 8 hours a day. So, and being in a super structured classroom with a lot of times it's the largest class size they've been with, but like before compared to before. So they are focusing in art a lot on integrating and reinforcing basic life skills. So basic things um, like letters, numbers, colors, shapes, lines, that kind of thing, patterns, repetition, that kind of stuff. Helping students understand basic emotions and how emotions can show up in visual art. So, um, this might look like a teacher asking students, like, how do you think the artist felt when they created this? Or what do you think the artist was trying to make you feel by creating this? And then also, like, possibly asking students to draw a picture that makes people like that makes viewers feel sad or makes viewers feel angry or what that kind of stuff. And also teaching students how to safely and properly use art materials. Keeping in mind that kindergartners they're 5 or 6, so they are needing a lot of redirection and like hands-on help. And they're just kind of still learning how school is going. So it's a lot of just learning very basic things and are at this point. So in first grade, they're using a lot of the previous knowledge they learn in kindergarten, and I mean that's kind of how school works everywhere. use what you already knew to help you learn new things. So that's a big theme in all of these standards. They're building upon the year previous. So using previous knowledge to look at art from new perspectives. So like being aware of the perspective they learned last year and then building upon that. Exploring more advanced artistic styles and elements. So adding in new textures, working with new materials, doing new styles of art, that kind of thing. That it can also look a lot like using or doing. We did a lot of art when I was in school that was from like other countries and other like continental styles of art. Explore using creative liberties in their work, so they're able to get their creative juices flowing and kind of do what feels right for them in their own work. And then also examining effects artists' physical location can have on their work. So how can somebody who lives in a very rural part of Africa, how would the way they go about making an art piece be different than somebody who lives in New York City, that kind of thing. And then in second grade, it is a lot of students focusing on the big picture of a piece of art and what little things that they noticed in their art to help them come to the decision of this is the big picture. This is what we're meant to learn about this art. Like this is the theme of the art piece. Contextual relevancy standards. In kindergarten, it is how art a lot can look on a larger scale, how art looks in daily life. So, kind of helping students realize that furniture is art, blankets are art. Like everything is art. Everything has had to be created in some way, and if it had to be designed, and design is art. So, it's a lot of that, like stuff that's like students wouldn't think about, like oh, like people like when you're 6 years old, 7 years old, you're not thinking about, oh, like somebody had to go and think about like how my bathroom was designed. Somebody had to plan what they were going to do to build my house. Like it's that kind of stuff. In first grade, they are talking a lot about how and why art is categorized and why categorization can be important. And they're doing a lot of comparing and contrasting art that has different labels that is put into different categories. So like black and white art, like watercolor painting, like comparing like what's different about those, like different styles of art, comparing them, that kind of stuff. And then in second grade, the significance of labels of art, they're starting to talk about. This is the point where they're kind of starting to talk about how art can be used, like to make changes in society, like and how it can be very impactful. So and how labels like in coherence with this can be very impactful, and it can matter in a world like this, in the art world, and when you're trying to convey something specific, the label of what you're making can matter. So that's what they're talking about with that. And then critical response. In kindergarten, critical response is a lot of students focusing on describing their personal art in relation with different artistic aspects. So is it black and white? Um is it watercolor? Is it like what like is it line work? Is it like that kind of stuff? Like how was it made? What went into it being made? How can you describe how it was made? That kind of stuff. In first grade, we were talking about personalization in art. So how art can be personalized from person to person. They're just talking about how to respectfully express opinions on artistic pieces, whether it was what they made or if somebody else made. What can make art meaningful and what messages can be conveyed through art, or how people can use messages or can use art to convey certain messages. And then in second grade, it is how to use proper art terminology to evaluate personal works of art at each stage of creation. So, like not just evaluating art in its whole form, but evaluating art like when when you're making your rough draft sketch of whatever you're going to make, when you did your first testing of whatever, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, that is my presentation, and thank you for watching. Bye.